Welcome on into the Burg Bros podcast. It's episode 2 here from the Virginia Tech Television Studio in Blacksburg, Virginia. Alongside Connor Arthur here, we've got Thomas Hughes, we've got Kahlil McCuller, and we've got a very special guest here for the show. It's the one, the only, the Tech Sideline baseball beat writer, Dylan Tefft. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. I appreciate the introduction, Connor.
Unofficially,
great to be on. Unofficially, Thomas and Connor's boss, sports editor of the Collegiate Times.
We all got our own nice little roles here, but we'll go ahead and get started with the very first topic. We'll go into the Stanley Cup playoffs here. Ovechkin recently got his big winner, but how is that going to deter or to bring forth the Stanley Cup championship towards the Caps?
Well, that whole thing, and the players have said, it distracted them. It was a distraction, a happy distraction, but a distraction nonetheless. And honestly, they were losing across that whole entire stretch. It was a very celebratory moment surrounded by the worst stretch of the season, really. And so they lost a good amount of games leading up to the playoffs. And right now, they're 4 games into the series with the Montreal Canadiens. They look about as good as Montreal Canadiens, which is not a good thing. But they're up 3-1. It's going well, but they do need to adjust and get back to what they were doing before the step of Ovechkin. But of course, really good to see him hit the record.
Yeah, definitely, and it's very interesting to see because my what I think as a Canes fan, I mean the Canes have been doing pretty well against the New Jersey Devils as of right now, but I still have it, and I still will die on this hill. Give me the Caps to win it all come Stanley Cup championship time. But Thomas, what do you think here?
So for reference, in the CT sports section, some of us have a little Stanley Cup bracket going on, and in that bracket you get 2 selections. Obviously, both of mine are the Capitals. I'm from Northern Virginia. I'm not as much of a Capitals fan, not as much into hockey as Dylan is, but I have to say it's kind of biased, but I'm going to pick the Capitals to win the Stanley Cup. Just got to do it. They have a chance, I feel like. Definitely tailed off. I feel like you could have said that they were the best team in the NHL a couple weeks ago before, although the stuff happened with him hitting the record. But I think that they're still in a point to compete. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're the top dogs anymore, if that makes sense. But they've still got that fire. I feel like they can still be able to manifest that fire that they've got. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's just going to take some adjusting. And honestly, in the East, I think their biggest threat is the Carolina Hurricanes. You're looking at a team that matchup has become a heated rivalry over the last 4 years, ever since they played in round 1 in the Canes, they won Game 7 overtime goal. I mean, that was just a heated series. Those teams hate each other. Those coaches really don't like each other. I don't like Rod Brindamore. So that's definitely the biggest threat. I mean, even if the Caps catch a bit of heat, that's going to be tough. That's just a lot of emotions in that series right there.
2019, man.
Yeah, and
Rock again.
And Kahlil, do you have anything that you want to kind of put in? I know you're probably not much of a hockey fan as you are an NBA fan, but trust me when I say that hockey is really fun to watch. Just as a bystander and stuff like that. So we recommend, especially during the Stanley Cup, watch a little bit of hockey and enjoy it because it's kind of like football on drugs. That's what I.
That actually is pretty apt. I can think about it. Okay, so I watched the Four Nations Cup. I think that's what it's called. When it was going, that was great. Yeah. And I was just man, this is some great hockey. And I was texting my godfather because he's really into hockey, and I was I'm not really much of a hockey guy, but this is really, really cool, and they're playing really, really hard. It's balls to the walls action kind of. So I feel like that's just what most of the playoffs is going to end up being. Yeah. I look forward to seeing how the Capitals do.
As a product, I think the NHL playoffs are one of the best in all sports, maybe even the best. I don't know. It's incredible. Just the way there's some game series in other sports, but I feel something about hockey, probably the physicality of it,
the passion.
It just by game 2, 3, 4, the teams just despise each other, and the crowds are super into it. It's really an electric setting.
Fights.
Yeah.
Oh, the fights are fantastic.
The fights are the best thing, bro.
I feel like all sports should incorporate that, like having a segment.
Imagine
where,
basketball.
yeah,
Is this like the stuff that you said last?
just come in.
Is this like the stuff that you said last episode about the crash outs? You
Yeah.
have like the Steelers trying to play hockey.
No,
Put like Pickens and like
Nah,
Metcalf and
like,
have a crash
them-
out.
put Aaron Rodgers, Metcalf, and Pickens on the same team. It'd be like the Killer Bee Steelers all over. Like you
Just
got
imagine that in
AB,
hockey.
AB, Ben Roethlisberger, and Le'Veon Bell. Like you have the 3 crash outs on the team. But I feel like every sport should have that. Like especially in the playoffs. If you look at right now what the Celtics are going through with the Magic, it's like they're trying to play football with them. So why not let them get up and just like throw hands and see what happens?
I feel like, at least for me, this is like sort of us transitioning into our next topic, which is talking about the NBA playoffs. Going off of what you said, I feel like the NBA could use a little bit more physicality, but also in terms of like how close the league is in terms of like the spread. And this is especially in the Western Conference. I think the second seed was Houston was 52-30. The 7th seed was 4 games behind them. That is so close. Just like the gaps, it's basically like, okay, like a 2 versus 7 matchup is basically relatively even. Like you got the Warriors, who are the 7th seed, they're favored over the Rockets, who are the 2nd seed and have been one of the best teams in the NBA this year.
I recently read a piece that was like, whereas like 10, even 8, 7 years ago, the NBA was about like how many stars you can collect, and now it's about like who has the strongest, weakest link. Like the weakest link is the difference, and I think that kind of helps with parity. I don't know. I haven't watched the NBA playoffs too much. You guys tell me guys what you think about that. I thought that was a super interesting take.
I agree with that. Like, cause now with the new like salary cap stuff and like CBA, a lot of these super teams won't be able to be in. Like with the Warriors and the Miami Heat, what we saw over the past decade with those 2 super teams, it won't be possible. And teams that are starting to suffer, like the Phoenix Suns, when you have multiple stars on your team and you don't have the depth to go with them because they all are trying to score points, and then you need other guys that can also score and defend as well, and you can't get all that with no cap space. So that's why you see a lot of these teams have 2 stars and then really good role players like the Timberwolves, like the Lakers, the Warriors. I mean, they've lucked up, basically got 2 stars, so I wouldn't put Draymond still in that same category.
Butler, man.
And he's hurt too. So that pelvis injury that he had after that fall against Houston, and I think with Houston, they need another scorer this offseason. I don't know if they're going to move Jalen Green. There's been talks about that. If they lose this series, because they, to me as a whole, they're better than the Warriors defensively. They just don't have a consistent 20-point scorer. Like Jalen Green, 38 points game 2, they blow the Warriors out. Game 3, you have 9 points.
I feel like the Rockets are like in a kind of position where like, okay, you can try and see where you can go with the score. There's 3 routes I think they could go. Number 1, don't change anything. Top 2 seed, just keep things where they are. Number 2, try and retool and bring that number 1 guy in, but also a guy who's younger. Number 3, go all in and trade for Kevin Durant. I feel like number 3 is an option that the Rockets could take. I would like option 2 the most because I feel like this team is like sort of like right at the precipice. It's like, let's say, I'm trying to think of like what's the right analogy. Let's say that like you're locked in like a wine cellar and you're trying to get out and you're trying to bang through. They're kind of at that point where like they're right about to bang through, but they need like that one extra push.
Where were you?
I don't know if that analogy makes sense.
Why
What other
wine
analogy
cellar?
makes sense? They need one person to help them break through.
What wine cellar were you?
Why is it a wine cellar?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Why
Why
have like a
wine
pattern
cellar?
rim? Okay,
It
fine.
could have been
A
this
pattern rim.
room. It could have been any room.
Okay, fine. A pattern rim. A pattern rim.
Why
Why
a
one extra person to push? I don't know.
No, I'm kidding. I like it.
They need one more person.
I could say, in terms of like, one person that could probably help them. I would look in terms of younger teams that are probably align a little bit with this timeline. Maybe Giannis or Devin Booker. I mean, Giannis is 30. Devin Booker is like 28. So that gives you another at least 5
I
years.
would like Giannis to the Rockets.
That would be crazy. Because that would be like his 2021 team a little bit. And I just feel like you have the young talent over there. Because I feel like the Bucks are trying to bring in young talent around him. But it's like Kuzma and the guys like that, but it's just not working.
Old generational player Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, he worked on the Lakers, not on the Bucks or the
Not
Wizards.
work on the Wizards, man.
So it just like I don't know. And then Devin Booker, I mean, you're in no man's land right now. Beal's not waiving that contract clause, that no trade clause, and Durant. I mean, you could get a lot back for him, but I just like you said, he's up there in age. I don't know how he would do with these young guys.
And you don't know if he can be like that, like real, like number one guy.
Still.
You can make like a case. Okay, is there a case to be made that like Albert Şengün could be better than Durant, like right now at this like point in time, given like Durant's age and like he's kind of only going to start going downhill from now, and like how much of his numbers are just empty? Is he a guy worth trading for the Rockets if they do end up getting eliminated by Golden State? They're down 2-1 right now, which leads in like our next sort of debate. How do you guys think that the playoffs are going to go as a whole? We currently have one of the 8 teams locked into that second round, which is the Thunder. Absolutely obliterated the Grizzlies. I think it was either game 1 or 2. I was covering baseball alongside Dylan and my other friend Sydney. And I just peeked over at Sydney and I was like, hey, do you want to know what the score of the Thunder Grizzlies game 1 game is? And it's like 50 points. It wasn't even close. It was like, I don't know, like 103 to like 60 or something like that.
It's 131 to 80. So, I was gonna kind of put in a little bit of input about like the thing about Giannis and potentially him going to the Rockets. I feel like that wouldn't work, especially now with the fact that Damian Lillard is out for the rest of the season with a torn Achilles. And so, I mean, like I feel like if Giannis were to leave the Bucks and leave Damian there, Damian still has to recover from his injury. What else? What kind of star power would you really have in Milwaukee?
Like,
you're asking for the Bucks
at that point?
I'm asking like, would it be reasonable for the Bucks to trade off Giannis to the Rockets?
Yes, I think you kickstart the rebuild. If you move Giannis, you're probably going to move Dame as well. I would love to send him back to Portland and just finish out your career there. I think he wants to be back there because he said this for years. I think, and us as media members and fans, I think we also have to have this conversation. And I watched James Harden talk about this as well in an interview. When someone's in a good situation that they're happy with, you have to let them be. And I think I'm going to get to Dame's point, and then I'll get to James Harden. He said for years, I don't want to leave Portland. I like being here. And if I go to another team with another star, it's not guaranteed that we win a championship, even though everyone thinks that he needed that. And we're seeing it firsthand here. James Harden also made the, statements that, I've sacrificed my career and I lost a lot of money and awards as a result of listening to everybody else.
Especially Daryl Morey.
Going to the Nets, going to the Sixers. And he's like, I'm not doing it no more. And I respect that because I feel like at times we get so antsy to say someone needs to leave or do this and do that. And it's like, it's not always that easy and it's not guaranteed you're going to win a championship every single year just because you're talented and you go team up with another talented star. And I think to your point about, I think the Bucks could get a lot back from Houston, draft picks, young players, and same thing from Portland too. I think they have a lot of draft picks and young players as well. Scoot, Anthony Simons, Donovan Clingan, Ayton, Avia. I'm forgetting the guard, Shaden Sharp. He's another one. Like, they have a lot of young talent over there in Portland as well. You can send him back there, let him finish out his career there, and just get all this best resolved. Because I think the Bucks had a lucky run, and every team needs luck to win a championship.
For sure.
In 2021, the Nets were kicking their ass. And
one small KD toe away from reaching the NBA Finals.
They were up 2-0 when Harden, Kyrie, and Durant were healthy, and were beating them by like 30 in game 2. Then they all get hurt except for KD, and then Harden's playing on a torn hamstring pretty much. So they lose that series. Then you play the Hawks, and Trae Young hurts his foot, gets a bone bruise in game 3. You get to the finals against D-Book and them, and you win. So outside of that, they've been the first round exit. They blew the 3-1 lead, I believe, to the Heat like 2 years ago in the first round, and Jimmy Butler. And then the year before that, in 2022, they lost to the Celtics after they lost Chris Middleton in round 2 in Game 7. And Tatum had like 47 that game. And then 2024, they also lost early in the playoffs as well. So it's just like, I don't really. They lost to the Pacers last year.
Yeah,
they're gonna lose to them again.
Lost to the Pacers when Giannis went down. Now you have Dame down.
And in 2019, you lost to Kawhi after being up 2-0 in the conference finals. 2020, you lost again in the bubble to the Heat. So it's just like, this is a repetitive theme of you just losing in the playoffs with or without Giannis. And I think he needs to go somewhere else, and I would love to see him in Houston.
I can get behind that. Just going round by round, who do you think's going to be the favorite in each one? If you guys want to go through and give like a couple like minute-long guesses on who you think is going to make it far. We got the Thunder and the Grizzlies already. That series is done. Thunder eliminated them pretty easily. We got Nuggets Clippers. That series is very interesting, obviously, because like
I feel like whoever wins that is winning going to the finals.
Okay, that's a bit of a hot take.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, like I don't. How's that a hot take though? Explain.
All right. I feel like with the Clippers, I don't know whether to trust in. Let's say that the Clippers win the series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether I can still trust Kawhi Leonard given all of his injuries. The last time that this team was like a real dangerous contender to make it to the finals, Kawhi went down with a torn ACL. I still have that like small lingering doubt that Kawhi can go down. If he goes down, what happens to that team? I don't think that James Harden can carry them if Kawhi goes down. I know that there's like a lot of ifs in there, but then also like this series is tied anyways. I do think that the Nuggets are going to pull it off and win this first round series.
I feel like that's the best series right now in the playoffs.
I agree. It's the only one that's not 3-1 right now.
But that's why I said like the winner of that series, I feel like will go to the finals because I just feel like it's like you said, if health with the Clippers is good, I believe they can beat the Thunder and anyone in those last 2 rounds, like whether it's Minnesota or Golden State or Houston, that comes to the conference final. No, all right, we're not going to do that. They're Lakers out in 5, yes.
Lakers out in 5, man.
I think that
would be so
speaking of them, if you want to go there, I just think that they botched that trade for Mark Williams and the Dalton Connect, Mark Williams, and Cam Reddish trade. And I think they're regretting it because they said something about like the physical tests being bad for Mark Williams, so they didn't want to do it. Physical. So I think but he still played in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why did you not do that? Because Jackson Hayes is a 4, even though he's 7 feet tall. Yeah. You're forcing him to play these high minutes, and you don't really have another backup big that can fill in for him. And I just feel like that's where Minnesota is punishing the Lakers at. You're too small. Actually, as a matter of fact, I wanted to pull this up. So I want y'all to understand something when y'all are listening to this right now as we speak. The Lakers are being outscored by 14 points per 100 possessions with LeBron and Luka on the court in the second half this series. This is also the 6th time that LeBron finds himself down 3-1 in the NBA playoffs. Now, 5 of those 6 times, he's lost. But we know what he did in 2016. A 3-1 comeback.
It's 9 years later, the second time.
But no, I don't think it's going to happen. Now, I do think that last point, and I'll let y'all speak. I just feel like Anthony Edwards is too much, and I think he's out for blood, man. 2 years back to back, you taking out young and old legends, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant last year, sweet, and then now LeBron and Luka this year. It's just like I don't know, man. And Luka got to get in shape. Like you can't keep getting this situation where you're getting blown by on defense or you're tired because Minnesota's defending them 94 feet.
I feel like it was good for like the first like month, like especially with the Lakers defense and whatnot. It seemed like the Lakers defense started very good once they got Luka. Way better than I thought it was going to be. But then like it sort of settled back into the mean. And then you run into the problem of like, okay, you got Luka. You didn't plan around how you were going to get like a good 5 to replace AD. Obviously, Luka is going to be a better player than Anthony Davis. I feel like people can agree on that, but you should have had a better replacement plan for who you were going to put in at the 5 rather than just betting on Mark Williams' health, which obviously backfired pretty badly.
No, that was the problem. They made the Luka trade knowing they need to get it big. They go for Mark Williams. They take a swing. They miss. And and it didn't look like it was going to be a big deal because they, like you said, they had a good defense in the regular season, but obviously that gets exposed in the playoffs. Physicality's up. I mean, you're playing bigs. It's hard to watch. I think they're in a position where they can still win. Like they clearly are outsized very drastically, but I think they were in a spot where they could still win if Luka and LeBron played well. LeBron's playing well. Luka's not playing well. Luka is actually 30% of the last 2 games. I think one of them he had 13 points. They needed both of them to play at their best the whole entire run. And for it to start collapsing in round 1 is really bad. And now you're a game away from being out. It's so obvious that they just need to fix so bad.
Shot 46, 37, and 55 in the past 3 games. That's
You just can't defend. I mean, you get up double digits in the fourth quarter and then you go leave. So
I mean, regardless, Lakers, Boston, Lakers in 6.
okay. I can get behind that storyline, but that would take way too much, I think, to happen. On that.
he said what?
I will say it again. Lakers, Boston,
Confidence.
6.
If they go to the first
Lakers
round,
in 6. They're going to come back against the Timberwolves. I don't care. I don't care how it works. I don't care what kind of devil magic that they have to put in here. LeBron, Luka the GOAT. Luka the GOAT. Luka's going to get into shape. He ain't no Zion, okay?
I mean, not according to Nico Harrison and the Mavericks, man.
They need to get rid of
do you
him.
really trust Nico Harrison?
No,
I
no.
do.
No, we don't.
Right now, I do.
If they get out of the first, sky's the limit. They need to get out of the first. Anthony Davis is playing like Steph Curry mixed with like MJ right now. So what are you gonna do? Honestly,
But then again, the
he needs to slow down.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Edwards. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah. Anthony Edwards. I mean, that man is he's next up. It's unfortunate he doesn't want to be the face of the league,
I
but
feel like he could.
I understand it comes with a lot. Like, obviously, as if y'all don't know, sports media students, we are taught about image and things of that nature and how we conduct ourselves in a certain manner, especially on social media and public. And I think it's the same thing. Well, I know it's the same thing for being in sports or anything like that. When you're the face of something or you're trying to make it somewhere, you have to conduct yourself in a personal manner. And I think for him, he's a more carefree, looser kind of guy, and he just wants to do him. And I think when you're trying to be the face of the league, it's a heavy hat you have to wear and a lot of different hats you have to wear. And you just can't be out here doing what you want to do because it's not about you anymore. It's about everyone else, including yourself. So I just think that it's unfortunate that he doesn't want to be that. Now, I'm not going to say force him into that role, but that brother can ball.
I mean, you can advertise him, and get him, on the mic if, you want to. I don't know, just, when I watch, a Timberwolves game, I'll be like, man, this kid is special. That's just the feeling that I get. I say kid knowing damn well he's 6 or 7 years old.
Thomas Bray,
He's our age, bro.
Thomas Bray made a point a couple of CT meetings ago that the biggest development in the NBA this year is Anthony Edwards.
He's 23? He's 23.
He's our age, around our age.
He was already so good. Now he's a lights out shooter. He's just unstoppable. I mean,
what did Thomas say?
he said that the biggest development of this season is that Anthony Edwards all of a sudden became a lights out shooter, a 40% 3-point shooter or whatever he's at.
Well, you notice that. I think in the Olympics he did his thing with KD and LeBron and all them. He went under their wing and he practiced a lot with them during that run in Rio, or not Rio, but Paris this past summer, and when they won the gold. And that's showing now his leadership and just that toughness that he brings to the game. It shows in his teammates. He's giving them so much confidence. And like I said, they're picking up LeBron and Luka 94 feet, tiring them out first 3 quarters. Then the fourth quarter comes around. They can't do nothing. And it's just that's why I said LeBron is an old man, but Luka, you have to get in shape, man, because this is ridiculous. Every time the playoffs roll around, your teams can't rely on you to do anything past a certain point because you don't defend and then you're out of shape. And as you get older, I don't know if y'all know this, any older people watching this, y'all will be able to attest to this. It gets harder and harder to lose weight. and move around as
Definitely
much.
harder for me, even though I'm more sleeping.
So it's like the more Luka continues down this path, and you get older, the more it's gonna be harder for you to do certain things. But go ahead.
How dare you? How dare you flack on LeBron,
What about him?
my glorious king?
I said he's
Oh my
older. Of course he's gonna
Yeah,
be slower.
no, that's not what you say. You didn't say he was older. You said he was old.
He is old.
He's spring chicken.
He's old.
Nah.
What about him? He's old.
LeBron
He's
James,
old.
the GOAT of this entire
40 years
thing.
old. He is 40 years old.
Old,
I don't get.
right?
Okay, he's only 40. He's only 40. You want to know who else was GOAT status in his 40s? Tom Brady.
Oh, okay.
And so you want to make this GOAT debate of like, oh, who is better, Michael Jordan or LeBron?
So this is where we're settling it. Okay.
He wanted
LeBron,
that smoke
I'm
with
telling you,
Tom.
LeBron is the NBA version of Tom Brady. Whether if you like it or not, yes, he may have some beef with he may have some political beef with like China or whatever. Who cares? I don't care. It's LeBron's time. And I'm telling you, Lakers in 6.
Alex, what are they saying?
Jordan, LeBron.
I think that is.
They
I
all
think
wanted
that just ends up being like I think that student Nike's like association with China. I might be wrong on that. I don't know much.
Oh, we're getting something much deeper.
I have no clue about this. This might be a topic for another episode.
He's
once I do
old.
more research.
He's old. He's definitely old, but I think that he's that doesn't take away from his greatness. Though I'm not saying that he's not great, but I just feel like if you wear him down, it's obviously going to get to him.
LeBron never won
You're downing his ability to come back against someone like Anthony Edwards.
Right now, yes, because he doesn't have the team to do so.
And see, I find that disrespectful.
How?
Because it's LeBron freaking James.
So
we're talking about here.
So
This
is
is-
this
this
LeBron James at 20 or LeBron James at 40?
This is LeBron James prime time 40.
Okay, I'll give it.
This is him getting another ring.
LeBron James.
I will die on this
still a
hill.
baller. That's crazy. But did LeBron ever win Defensive Player of the Year and the scoring title in the same year? No. No, he didn't.
So y'all want to have this Jordan LeBron debate now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you guys 1v1? I think I would rather watch that.
All right. Here's my argument. Here's why I have to set the stage. All right. We're gonna really quickly. I know I tend to be more.
If you bring up the three-peat, I swear to God.
No, I'm not gonna bring up the three-peat. I'm gonna bring up the
you
6
brought it up
rings.
for him?
Okay, as a bystander, I'd like to ban the term killer mentality.
Okay, we're not gonna use the fact that it's like
That's it.
killer mentality. I'm not going into like this stuff where like it's like the last dance and like
Oh my god.
that.
So we
And that was personal or whatnot, but like it's like the same time, like he was on the All NBA first team like 10 times.
LeBron never went
He
to
could-
college.
He could have made it 12 times if he hadn't been going off playing baseball and like hitting like 150 to 200.
Yeah, he was one of the worst baseball players I've ever seen in my life.
When did you even see him?
You didn't watch him.
You didn't watch Michael Jordan.
Space Jam
Yeah,
1 is better than Space Jam 2.
Oh my god.
They both suck. Okay, fine. Space Jam 1 and Space Jam 2 are both really bad movies.
Really?
But guess
Nah.
what?
I agree.
Guess what? You
No.
know that Space
Space
Jam
Jam
1. You know more scenes from Space Jam 1. You know like the Michael Jordan stretching like his arm to dunk. You don't know any scenes from Space Jam 2 because
I do.
it's corporate
I know, right?
garbage.
I do.
Oh, you think
okay,
Space Jam 1 isn't
Alright.
corporate garbage?
It is
LeBron.
corporate garbage, but it has memorable corporate garbage.
You want to have this debate of like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
LeBron stretching. All right, which one's the better logo? A freaking lion
Right.
or a guy splitting?
LeBron the GOAT.
Yeah, but the Air Jordan logo is like
Just telling you that now.
it's
Not
the Air
even,
Jordan
talking, not
logo.
even talking about iconicness. I'm talking about the pure logo. Would you rather see a freaking lion, a cool ass lion, or would you see a guy doing a split?
You know, normally I wouldn't trust Wikipedia, but it also said about Space Jam. The sequel received generally negative reviews and failed to match the commercial success of the first film.
Okay, yes, LeBron is not a great actor, but come on, man, he's a basketball player.
LeBron is
So
the
was
GOAT.
Jordan.
I think how much you like either Space Jam should be directly correlated to how
Just
old
have
you are.
that be the GOAT debate.
What?
Just have that be the GOAT debate. End it all. That's it.
This is why I don't care about Space Jam. Okay, look, I think if you're like 10 when you watched it, either one, that's awesome. Like you get to love it. But if like you watched it as a grown man, either one, like why are you liking that movie?
Okay, that's
The second one, fire.
in my defense. I watched it when I was like what, in like the 5th grade on Space Jam 1.
I would rather watch the second one because it's funnier.
Yeah,
That's about
exactly.
it.
Yeah. You
I just think the Space Jam 1 is just
LeBron's
like
the
more
GOAT, bro.
iconic,
Like,
if that makes sense. Like,
obviously.
okay, you might be able to argue that, okay, Space Jam 2 is like funny.
But why do you say Jordan?
But they're
is
both
the GOAT?
bad. All right. So here's my main argument.
Let's go.
All right. We'll go into this real quick. 9-time all defensive first team.
Mhm.
All right. As a guard. You could argue he was like the second, maybe like third best defensive guard of that era. And the best scoring guard of that era. Probably of all time if you want to get into specifics. I do think that when it comes to the GOAT debate, there's a difference between the best player and the one that had the greatest impact. And by greatest impact, I mean like, okay, they were like the peak player during their era. You can make a case, and I'll listen to Dylan and Connor where they're like, okay, is LeBron maybe a strictly better player? Yeah, I can get behind that argument. But what I'm saying is, for me, the GOAT resides around who's greatest relative to their era, at least for me.
So you saying
If that
LeBron's
makes
not the
sense.
greatest of his era?
I do no. What I mean is like the greatest relative to their era. So I think that Jordan is the best because he dominated his era entirely.
So 8 straight finals is not dominating your era.
In the Eastern Conference.
Did he win another
Who was he
championship?
playing in the Eastern Conference?
Oh.
Joe Ball? Bradley Beal?
He played the Big Three Celtics. Did we forget about that? We played
Okay, I do have
Prime
to
D
give it to him.
Rose. Prime D Rose.
Okay.
Melo in the Knicks in his prime as well.
This just helps me bring it.
Yeah,
up.
like
this
where do you want to go?
Look out.
The Pistons, where he scored like 27 straight and took his team to the finals
Okay, I
in his
do have
third
to-
year. Like, where do you want to go? Like, we go anywhere. And then when he went out west, he won a championship there. You do realize he has 3 different championships with
Okay.
3 different franchises.
Well, 4 with 3 different because he won 2 with Miami and then 1 apiece.
Well, when I'm saying 1 in each
And
franchise.
and LeBron never went to college.
What is that?
He balled right out of high school,
Okay.
and they wanted to pick him up right out of high school. That says something.
Okay.
Jordan, how many years did Jordan have in North
Jordan played
Carolina?
3 years in college. So.
Any championship.
But
tell
then
me-
again, you also have to view like the thing of like, okay, there wasn't like a restriction, there wasn't a restriction back in like 03, like when LeBron jumped. There was a restriction for Jordan. I can't remember where I read this, but there was something that like, I think Jordan probably could have like jumped the year before. It's just a question of where he would have gone. I don't know.
I just feel like, bro, what? Name me one championship that he has. I'm talking about like with Jordan that even trumps anything that LeBron's done in that 3-1 comeback.
And see, that's a really good point. And
That one got
I can't bring up. Okay, look, I might.
LeBron 73 and
might have
9.
an argument here because I feel like
The
I
crazy
feel like
thing is,
Jordan's 6 championships speaks to itself, but it's like they were all captured in like different ways. Then again, like
he didn't beat
weirdly
the
enough, I
greatest
feel like this
regular
depends
season.
on like how you rank like where like somebody like Curry or like other players like that where they fit in like that mold, depending on like which players you beat.
Okay, well,
If that makes sense.
it does, but then this is where I would go with that argument. Michael Jordan was always favored in every finals that he was in. LeBron wasn't always favored in the finals.
Okay.
And then he beat the greatest regular season team of all time. Michael Jordan went 72-10. Curry and the Warriors went 73-9 in 2016.
Okay.
And then they were running through everybody. They came back from 3-1 against KD and the Thunder with Westbrook. And then you get up 3-1 and you lose against LeBron, and LeBron led the finals in every statistical category and averaged a triple-double that year. And won finals MVP. I don't know.
I didn't remember.
I love this guy. I love this guy.
from the
Read everything.
from the years of 2017 to give or take 2021.
Mhm.
I was LeBron's biggest warrior on Twitter. Like every day,
Yeah, so go and look at
tens of tweets,
Mr.
maybe more, like just defending him, like arguing the GOAT debate. And then in 2021, I had to one day I'd look back and I was like, "It's not a good look. I need to retire." And ever since then, I retired from the GOAT debate. But I will say I think LeBron's the GOAT, and it's not close.
Thank you. Thank you. So we love democracy here. We got a
I'm telling you, it was bad, dude. It was an addiction.
And so with this, I've
What has
already.
Kawhi done that's influential? And I quote from Dylan Tefft,
2018.
"What are you smoking? Every one of LeBron's MVP years are much better than Jordan's rookie one. Do you only look at points?"
I was 12, and this was the problem. This is what I had to step away from.
Oh man.
So with us,
But that's from
going,
2019.
I was okay 14. Like it's,
His most influential thing that he's done is beating the Warriors in the final.
I'll have to remember what the context of that argument was about.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember this is back when there was like actual Kawhi LeBron debates, like who was the best player.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was disrespectful.
I feel
Okay,
like
I
Kawhi,
will
like,
say
is, like,
this.
top three.
Kawhi was never better than LeBron James. 2019, LeBron came to the Lakers. They were third in the West, if I'm not mistaken. Christmas Day, he strained his groin against the Warriors and was out for majority of the season. They missed the playoffs. That's when they had Lonzo and all them still on the roster, and Brandon Ingram and Kuzma. And then they got Anthony Davis and won the title the following year, second year there. But I will say, in 2019, Kawhi Leonard had a legendary run. I mean, I'm not even going to mention the first round sweep against Orlando. But the shot in the second round against Philly with Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid and all that team,
Is that still the only
And
Game
then-
7 buzzer beater?
it might be.
I think it might.
And then you're down 2-0 against Giannis and the Bucks, and then he says, "Let me guard Giannis." They built the wall against Giannis. They win 4 straight, and then you beat the Dynasty Warriors. Granted, KD got hurt, and then Clay went out in Game 6. But I just think that he was the only one that slayed the Giant in the Warriors, and I think that it carried a lot of people away to thinking he was the best player in the world. And I just think that he had a lucky run again. Like, he got traded to Toronto. They kept losing every year to LeBron and all these other teams and stuff like that throughout the Eastern Conference. They traded for DeMar DeRozan, the Spurs did. And then Kawhi comes there. He tells them that summer, "I'm not coming back here." And
Like a 1 year rental, pretty much.
basically, and
That's the
then
best kind of 1 year rental you can get. Like, get a ring.
delivered the
It's like,
championship.
okay.
And
I don't think anybody in Toronto really holds that hard feelings about it because you got a ring.
yeah, they don't really they don't hate Kawhi. They love Kawhi. They just wish he would have stayed. But at the same time, they understood what it was, bro. He didn't want to go there in the first place.
It's good even
He
after
was
he
traded. He was traded there, and he had to go play there. And he just didn't want to be with the Spurs anymore. They questioned the legitimacy of his injuries, and that's why he wanted out of there. But I think, to your point, Dylan, I don't ever think he was better than LeBron.
Yeah, what was always my problem is and you would have to have been an NBA Twitter like looter like me to understand this. But after he leaves the Raptors and goes to the Clippers, there's like rightfully so, this like best player in the league like debate because like he just won the championship. But it always annoyed me because post Raptors Kawhi was a severely worse defender than he was on the Spurs. But it was like this argument of like, oh, like, yeah, he's a little bit worse offensively than LeBron and he can't play make as well. But he's the best defender in the league and LeBron's garbage at defense. And like that really made 15-year-old Dylan upset because Kawhi really wasn't that good at defense post Toronto. And really, he peaked in the Spurs and it was never quite. He was still getting like all defensive first team if I remember. And it felt like very like pushed and like it was more a perception thing than anything backed up by numbers. Like I don't think his defensive rating was that good or what's happening on the court. In fact, I remember there was a couple of those initial Clippers years where LeBron ended with a better defensive rating than him. And like, yeah, there's a lot of bad narratives going on NBA Twitter at the time, and it made me build up this resentment towards Kawhi. That's now gone, but yeah,
It was like a Can We Skip the NBA Finals graphic already that was made by like TMZ or somebody. It was just like the Clippers. No, the Western Conference Finals. And it was the Lakers and the Clippers, and it was 2020. It was just like, okay.
Well,
I felt like the Lakers were going to be the better team. It's not.
to kind of to kind of put a little bow on the NBA for one episode, it's kind of going towards a bigger question of who I've already said my piece. Who is going to the NBA championship? Who is going to the NBA finals? Everyone give their picks.
I can't bet. I can't bet against Boston.
Yeah,
I can't.
in the East, I got them going, and then whoever wins this Nuggets Clippers series,
It's
I
like
really
the Cavaliers on the Eastern Conference, and it's like the Cavaliers, like you can make the case that like, okay, they're the 1 seed, they have the best chance, but also like Didn't Cleveland play Boston last year and lose in the second round? It was pretty much like the same team, just very good. It's just
To a
they're
degree.
just they're just better all around. It's just like they got better.
Grew.
But it's like, okay, how much?
They have new coaching as well. They had
More.
JB Bickerstaff, I believe,
Oh,
last
right,
year.
right.
And then he's in Detroit now. And then they got Kenny Atkinson, who, by the way, speaking of Kevin Durant, they were foolish for getting him out of there for Steve Nash in Brooklyn. I will say that. But Kenny Atkinson is a great head coach. He's proven it now in Cleveland. And I just think Boston is head and shoulders over the East. Now, maybe next year that changes. And Orlando, like I've said before, has been beating the hell out of them. I've seen Jaylen Brown's press conference, and he was like, if they want to fight it out to see who goes to the second round, we can do that because it's not even basketball anymore.
They're like developed teams.
So,
I feel like the Celtics just have too much.
Yeah, I think Boston has that, and then I think whoever wins this Nuggets.
When Peyton Pritchard is like, you're like between your sixth and eighth best player, you're like you're chilling, you know? It's like you don't. There's not really much to worry about, you know. Obviously, like they're close to like 11.5 point favorites on ESPN right now for Game 5, which is tonight. Not tonight, tomorrow. This is being taped on April 28th, and tomorrow's game is on the 29th. I feel like Boston gets that. I feel like they can beat whoever the Knicks and Pistons are. That's probably gonna end up being the Knicks, but like, I just don't see enough out of the Knicks. Somehow, some way, the Pacers get there because there's no way the Bucks are getting there. I think without Dame. They need both of them, I think, to make a run.
No,
and then like the Cavaliers, like I think that the Cavaliers definitely took an upgrade this season, but I don't think that they're just there yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, my NBA ball knowledge and my love for the NBA isn't what it once was. But 14-year-old LeBron Twitter warrior Dylan's always in there, so I'm gonna have to go with the Lakers still.
There we go.
Are you
There we go.
Oh, this is ridiculous, bro.
There we go.
Lakers is insane. They're down 3-1.
They're down 3-1. They're gonna get eliminated.
You gotta have a hope. There's gotta
They're
be
gonna
some.
get eliminated in 5
There's
after all the
gonna be
Lakers
some
in 5
hope.
jokes.
I also have $10 and Lakers win it all.
Timberwolves and 5.
Well, moving on.
Good for your money.
Recently, the
But who's
NFL.
our champion though?
The champion.
We'll just. I'm gonna pick the Thunder to make it out of my
Whoa,
list.
what?
The Thunder. Okay.
Dude, the Thunder went 68-14. Okay,
What did they do last year?
68-14.
Who did they lose
Yes,
to?
they had like their first like actual real playoff test, and they fell. You look at like most of these champions that like are built organically,
Mhm.
they have like one major fail, and then they end up recovering from that. And this is like a past precedent that's like been set. Even with LeBron, like when he won his first ring with Miami, it was after he got beaten by Dallas. With Jordan, it was after he got beaten by the Pistons. Now I know that
must
like
have
if
been
you
like
were-
He won in
context
the
to
Heat
that,
before he. Didn't he win the Heat and then he lost? He
He
won
went to the
2010.
finals.
He won 2010 and then lose 2011 and then.
No,
No,
he
he
didn't
didn't
make it
win.
to the finals in 2010.
2010
He
he
lost to
left.
Boston in the conference finals.
That
Went
was
to
his last
Miami.
Cavs year,
Mhm.
and then
Went to Miami, lost to the Mavs in the finals. First ring was against
But
the Thunder.
you're taking it out
Thunder's
of
version,
context
yeah.
because this is
I think
why.
I might be taking it a little bit out of context, but like this is like one of the.
I don't
I feel
think
like this is one of the special teams. They're 68-14.
they can
Like
be
look at like
special.
stats by like box plus minus. I know that that's like nerd stats that like you
Mhm.
might be like, oh, like these stats don't matter. But like then again, like they have like all the makings of like what you want in a champion by the numbers.
They do.
And they've had like that like fall that like kind of put them on their ass pretty much. Of like, okay, we took like a fall to Dallas. Now granted Dallas isn't the same team by any means. But like you were stopped by a team and that forced you to kind of look yourselves in the mirror and like be like, okay, what do we need to do to get better? I think that they do end up falling to the Celtics in the finals. I know that seems kind of chalk having like the Thunder play the defending champions. But
So we're
I think that the Celtics beat the Thunder in the finals, but I can see the Thunder coming back in future years and then end up like kind of kickstarting the dynasty.
So where do you believe that the Thunder can beat the Clippers or the Nuggets?
All right, so here's my take on why. Obviously, I've offered up why I don't think the Clippers are going to make it far because I think that Kawhi could be susceptible to injury. I don't like either James Harden or Norman Powell being like your number two, like a guy that can like make it to the finals. Also, the Thunder, just like their depth, man. It's like the Celtics, pretty much, except like it's like the Celtics, but more raw and less defined, if that makes sense.
That's fair. I mean, I would.
Which is why I'm picking the Celtics to win. Like you got like I'd say probably like 5 guys, actually more like 6 or 7 that I like trust on a championship team.
So who's
Shea, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein. I go Alex Caruso because he was on that 2020 Lakers team. You know, he's kind of like that defensive glue guy. Lou Dort is a really good defensive guy as well. Isaiah Joe is kind of like that offensive spark that you can get off the bench. I don't know. I like this team. I don't feel like they're fully there yet, but I feel like they're like very good. Where they stand right now is like where they're trying to get in the rebuild. I think that they're going to make the finals, but I do think that they lose like 6 to the Celtics.
So I wanted to address your point. So he's not, although he's putting up a lot of points right now, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he's shooting 40% from the field and 25% from 3 in that series against Memphis.
I do think that Jokic deserves the MVP. If that's
So,
this argument.
No, it's not going there. But I want to ask you, so if they take him out the game, who else is going to step up against those other 2 teams if healthy, and the Nuggets and Clippers, that makes you believe that they can do it?
Okay, but then to respond to your question, like how, like okay, Jokic is like the best player in the world, but also like Chet has like upgraded into like a great defensive player in year 2 already.
So you telling me that
Yes.
this man is crazy.
Yes.
Yes.
I like
I'm sorry.
It's funny because one person makes a point and the other looks something up, and so they keep going back and forth. Like one person makes a debate, and the other person's like looks something up to
Well,
disprove
yeah, I'm
it.
going to look it up because it's important.
Because
Like-
this is nonsense. This is
Yes. He's averaged 2.8 blocks a game on the Grizzlies. I get that the Grizzlies might be garbage, but also that's 2.8 blocks.
So you do realize he averaged 24 points, 15 rebounds, and 11 assists in 4 games against the Thunder this season.
Okay,
You're telling me that young, little old Chet Holmgren is going to stop big boy Jokic. That's what you're
I
telling
didn't
me.
say that he entirely has to.
He has to. What the hell do you mean he's going to? He's going to
Isaiah Hartenstein. That's why I mentioned Hartenstein.
So Isaiah Hartenstein is going to go under the
And Jokic.
perimeter.
I'm not saying that they can cancel Jokic. I'm saying that they can do a reasonable enough job on him. And then there's not necessarily like a number 2 option.
So
And I don't like Jamal Murray. I do not like Jamal Murray.
So you know he's shooting 52% from the field against the Thunder this season. But you're talking about stopping him. Who is stopping Nikola Jokic?
He is not so much stop. It's not so much stop as nullify.
LeBron's been getting swept the last 2 years.
You really think that LeBron's gonna get swept by the Thunder?
So it
If he even makes it that far.
he wouldn't play the Thunder next round.
To kind of
He would
But
play
what I'm
the
saying is like
Warriors.
if the Thunder play the Lakers
Uh-huh.
in the conference finals, LeBron's not winning that series.
Well, of course not. I don't believe it.
The Los Angeles Lakers. So what you're saying is that you would have like the Nuggets and the Lakers in the conference finals?
Who? Him?
No, you.
No, I didn't say that. I said the conference final. They lost to them in the conference finals.
Okay.
But they've gotten swept by them the last 2 years they played.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust the Lakers.
But I don't.
Nuggets.
The Lakers aren't making it out the first round. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
Secondly, I have the Timberwolves making the conference finals, and then the winner of the
Okay.
Clippers and Nuggets making the conference finals.
So you would have like say like Nuggets versus Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
And then you have Celtics coming out of the East.
Yes.
Okay, I can get behind that.
I feel like that should have been the matchup 2 years ago.
I feel like on our East bracket, it's like the East bracket is like the easier one to determine. It's the West one because I think you're pretty dead set on like the Lakers. You know,
I don't know enough.
LeBron fanboy and you just wants it to happen. You're on either Nuggets or Timberwolves being the final pick. I've got the Thunder. He's got the Lakers.
I've got some like
I have the Nuggets or Clippers being the final pick to make it out the West. Whoever wins that series
All right.
and stays healthy.
So to end this off for the NBA section before we get into our next topic, who do you guys think is going to outright win the championship?
Win the.
You have the same
I ain't gonna lie. It would be wavy to see either Harden or Westbrook win their first title. So I don't really care because I feel like they've gotten the short end of the stick of their careers. Obviously, KD pulling the move on Westbrook and them like struggling in OKC after he left, and then Harden having to go up against KD and the Warriors all those years, and you know haven't been able to break through and finally win one. Either one of them, I think it would just be cool to see either one get their first ring after getting MVPs themselves in 16 and 17. So, I'm sorry, 17 and 18. Harden and Westbrook won MVPs, but I would love to see the inner child in me watching them on the Thunder and all those other teams. I would love to see them get a ring. So
I mean, do I think that like the Thunder and the Celtics are like the two best teams? Yes. For the storyline, hear me out here. If I was like the executive of the NBA and I had the power to like maneuver everything, Lakers, Cavs. Think about the storyline there.
Bro, can we stop with
And
this?
the Cavs win the championship.
Come on,
The
bro.
Cavs win the championship against LeBron. No, I'm not a LeBron hater. That would just be great for the Cavs.
Well, yes, but I'm talking about like the Lakers and the Cavs ain't making the finals, man.
The Cavs could.
No,
I'm not ruling it out. They could.
no.
Do I think
No.
that they will? No.
What is telling you they could make the finals?
They're up 3 to no.
Yeah, don't use that
I
argument.
can't use the Heat as an
Yeah,
argument.
that is
They're a 37 win team.
Because they shouldn't even be there right now, but that's a different discussion. But I would say that that would be a great
It's just like my
storyline.
pipe dream scenario. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think the Cavaliers make it happen.
It would be a great storyline. I agree with you on that. But I do believe that I don't want the Lakers to win.
Yeah.
If they met, I would see LeBron beat up on Cleveland again.
So to kind of put a little bow again on everything that's been going on, because my God, championship, who wins? You have
Celtics.
the Celtics. Kahlil, you have
We're in an armband right now. Not for the Celtics.
What did
it's
you
the-
say?
How's that? Clippers or Nuggets?
Clippers or Nuggets.
Lakers.
You're a Lakers guy. I'm a Lakers guy. So we all got our own.
50% Lakers.
We all got our own little opinions here, and we are more than happy to hear your opinions. If you do want to drop some, make sure to leave them in the comments and interact with us. We're more than happy to do that. But moving on to our last little segment here before we kind of ship off the audience to, I don't know, go take a nap or something like that.
Long episode, guys.
We need to talk. We need to talk about the NFL draft here, okay?
That would be great.
We wouldn't. All right, let's get off LeBron. Let's move on to the NFL draft.
Crazy.
The NFL draft had recently just wrapped up here. We had some great takes. We got some great picks. A lot of Hokies ended up going into the draft, which is a little bit more than I was expecting, especially for people that wanted to see, a little bit less after a 6 and 7 seasons or something like that.
Yeah, 6 and 7.
And so with the draft, obviously the first round kind of took everybody by surprise with a little bit of a trade.
Yeah.
That trade being the Browns going down to the 5th overall pick. The Jaguars ended up taking Travis Hunter, the cornerback wide receiver specimen from Colorado. What was everybody's kind of initial reaction when that trade happened?
I was wearing a Browns sweatshirt.
You're a Browns?
I'm not a Browns fan.
Oh.
I have a very loose connection to the Browns. My grandpa's a big fan, and I support them. I'm not really a fan, but I was excited for them to get Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter is the best player in the draft, bar none, like by far. I think he's just I don't want to use the word generational, but I think he's a freak athlete. I think he can pick either position and be the best.
Like
you got it. I don't even. But he could. I'm saying he could be one. He could be both. Could be the other. But I think he's amazing. Would be amazing either way. I think. Yeah, he's really good, and to see the Browns straight out of that, I thought was not a great decision. I don't love Mason Graham at 5 for them. I think that they did a good job the rest of the draft, but I think you should stay there and take Travis.
I'm just a little bit confused on the Browns. I don't know why they.
The Browns take Travis Hunter. Or
Why
the Browns not taking
Why
Travis
did the Browns take both Dylan Gabriel and then Shadur Sanders?
That,
I don't get what the need for that is, because now you've got like 4 QBs in that room. You got, what is it, Pickett, who's the second one?
Joe Flacco.
Pickett, Joe Flacco, the generational king right there. Then you got Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders.
You forgot Mr. Watson over there.
You got Cosby, but
You think he's not just going to get cut?
No,
Watson's going to be out for this
He's
season.
gonna get cut.
yeah, he's out for this season, but I think that they're gonna
I
be
think they're
battling it
running
out,
for
bro. Like I don't know. I don't like that situation, but y'all sleeping on him. I feel like
Somebody ends up on the chopping block.
someone's gonna pick him up and he's gonna do some things somewhere else. I don't know where. No.
Deshaun?
Yeah, I caught.
Oh,
that.
no.
That sound
I think, yeah. All right, let me rephrase that. He's probably gonna play well somewhere else. I just don't know how I feel about now the Jaguars. I wouldn't have did that because I don't believe in Trevor Lawrence. I'm sorry. I feel like he's been overhyped. They've tried this to hype him up since he was in high school and then Clemson. And he was really good at Clemson, and in the NFL, he's just been a disappointment. They tried to blame Urban Meyer for
Urban Meyer did have a lot to do with that.
like the first year, and then every year after that. I mean, what has he done under Doug Peterson? Okay, now I'll concede what he did in that playoff game against my Chargers, but he still ain't seeing Justin Herbert, and I think Justin Herbert is like miles better than him. But I just think they could have got a quarterback. I think that getting Travis Hunter is cool as a start, but you definitely could have. I feel like you should have got Shedeur Sanders and made that Colorado connection with him potentially, because they did some great things together at Colorado.
Where did they have the next option?
Well, I mean,
keep going through that, and I'm gonna try and find out.
Shedeur didn't go until late, like in like the 4th round, so you could have gotten him.
I immediately thought with the first round, because everyone was talking about Shedeur, I didn't know that this slide would be one of the biggest dramatic slides in all of NFL history.
Why you say that?
But I was thinking immediately when the Steelers were on the clock for their first round pick, I immediately thought, okay, Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed yet. If you draft a quarterback right now, then that's going to be a franchise quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers is most likely going to retire. They did not. They drafted Derek Harmon, the Oregon defensive tackle, and immediately I thought, well, Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler. Because do you really trust Mason Rudolph to really do anything?
I don't know. I just think that it was so unnecessary. First of all, with the whole Shedeur thing, that was crazy. I mean, he's literally ranked the second best quarterback in the draft behind Cam Ward.
I think he was ranked somewhere around like the 20s in terms of like the actual prospects on that.
No, I'm talking about quarterbacks. He's
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying like he could have like slid around like that Steelers.
That was so disrespectful, man. I just feel like I get the personal feelings towards his father and the entourage and the nonsense that comes with Shedeur and the family, but I don't think that Deion Sanders is going to overstep his boundaries and try and control things. And I think that was a lot of the fear factors that these organizations and front offices had. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that 4th round is crazy. However, now, like I said, I would have traded up to get him if I'm the Jaguars to put him with Travis Hunter, someone that we know they have a connection together. They did well together at Colorado those 2 years. And Travis Hunter is the best player in the draft. I think long term he'll be the best overall player as well. He's the best player in college football this year. He played both offense and defense, and I just think that you doing that, and then like I said, the Steelers passing up on Shedeur also like kind of just like.
Well, they ended up going with Will Howard, which
I mean, he was good at Ohio State.
Like that. That's like an okay pick. Like you get the national championship quarterback, but like
that was a good value. Well, the thing about Shedeur is like I have him like QB4. I think he's QB4. I think his last name wasn't Sanders, and there weren't as many antics he would have gotten drafted earlier. I don't mind him falling 5th, maybe a bit much, but like 3 or 4, I can see.
I would have seen him in like
first. I think first would have been insane. Like that's just not. It's just.
I feel like Ward was the better like.
No, he is
raw player.
But
I feel like Dart was the better prospect. I mean, not the better prospect. I feel like.
I think the better prospect. The only one I would say is most definitely a better prospect is Milroe, just because he's so athletic that he just But this is
like,
terrible.
The throwing skills like that can be developed.
Yeah, because he passed the ball.
You can't just like develop like raw athleticism, which Milroe already has, which is like definitely.
Well, yeah. I think about Shedeur. I don't know how high. I think Mac Jones is a very apt comparison.
Oh no,
Shedeur isn't incredibly athletic. He's got a bit of touch. He's accurate, but I don't think he's special beyond that.
Yeah,
but I think he could be fine. Like that's why I don't think. I think
like a serviceable level starter.
It's the same conversation that we've had all year, though. And by the way, as y'all know, we are Hokie, so we're following closely the ACC conference. Miami, we should have beat them this year. I think we got screwed that game, but that's another conversation. That was a catch at the end of the game.
I think that it was debatable, but when you rule that a catch on the field, if it takes you 11 minutes to come to that ball, then you can't be like, oh, it's like inconclusive evidence. If it takes you that long to be like, oh, there was like a guy out of bounds, like if it takes you that long to realize that, it's not inconclusive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not conclusive.
You gotta go call the field there.
Yeah, I just feel like
Make me a ref.
a lot of people say that if you give Kyron or
Undrafted Kyron Jones.
Shadur Sanders that team that Cam Ward had, that they would be the same, if not similar results that Cam Ward did in Miami, because he did have a stacked squad over there, though. We're not going to act like he didn't have a stacked offense, but I just feel like maybe, I don't know, man. Fifth round is crazy to be taking Shadur like that. And then also, we got to talk about the damn prank calls, bro. That's not cool, bro. Like,
that was insane.
It was somebody like associated with the Falcons too.
It was the DC son.
Yeah.
What?
The fact that his son went in his daddy's laptop and got his contact information and called him.
Wow.
I seen what Stephen A. Smith said today. I vehemently agree. That is cause for an ass whooping, if you ask me. I don't care if you're 21. I'm driving up to that school and I'm beating your ass. Okay, that's just so much. Like, that's just, we're not playing those. Because like,
it's a full blown threat.
that is you. Okay, so if you're the parent and you lose your job, what are you gonna do in that situation?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would you?
I would be very upset.
If I was like a parent in that situation, I'd just be pissed.
Like that is crazy.
Are you sure? Is it a hilarious prank? Absolutely.
The only problem is I've seen people like calling for like legal action or calling for Ovich to be get in trouble, like to get a punishment.
The coordinator?
Yeah, like the thing is,
How? It wasn't his fault.
That's what I'm saying.
How are you gonna punish him?
This happens every single year. That's what people don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't know what action you would take. Like,
Yeah, like
It
it's
happens
not
every
really.
year.
It's not really enforceable.
it's not just.
Like you can't
Don't
really do.
I think maybe
anything about
it'll
except
stop
for fine.
because people be more secure with the numbers. Now people be a little bit more aware. But
Yeah.
people calling for like Ulbricht's job or like saying that there should be legal action, that's kind of crazy. It happens every year. There's probably no years where it hasn't happened. It happened to Gene last year, among others. The video was sad. You can see the video. It was pretty sad.
Yeah.
It was sad. It was hard to watch.
I think with Shadur, I feel like it's rightful that he dropped down. I didn't think he was going to be dropping down this fast and this bad, but I feel like it shows how much more important it is to have business equity, or just have that, or business etiquette, and be able to be professional with especially the people that are your future employers, instead of just raw talent that he had.
Making the
Sure,
impression.
Shador had talent, but my God, was he a diva? He reminded me immediately of like Le'Veon Bell. like almost immediately of Le'Veon Bell.
Like
the
post-career
rap
or
career and everything.
Like post-career Le'Veon Bell or like in-career Le'Veon Bell?
I'm talking when he was on the Jets, Le'Veon Bell. Like soon as he left the Steelers.
But it just like that. Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like there's ways to go about everything, and Lamar Jackson is a prime example, and I'll tell you why. Before he got to the league, there were so many questions about him. They labeled him as like this ghetto guy, and I get it. Like, you have a lot of, as a black person and comes from black culture, I know that times it can get misconstrued as like you're doing a certain thing. We don't want that. And it's not necessarily just because you have braids or you do certain things that you're a street guy or you're a thug. Does not mean that. I know that with Lamar Jackson, it can be misconstrued. He talks certain ways from Florida. He likes to wear gold grills, whatever the case may be. And teams had their questions about that. And he was unfortunately taken late in the draft, and you see he's making teams pay right now. As a result, I watched his GQ interview about his jewelry collection. He said, I had grills before I got to the league, but I didn't wear them because I wanted to get to the league. Going in comparison to Shador, it's the way you present yourself along with your dad, the flash, the overly flashiness, and the trash talk and stuff like that. It can be misconstrued. I also read
Humbleness too.
Before today, humility and humbleness is very much needed. He was like, the teams that he didn't want to take him, apparently there's a report that he was very like nonchalant towards them, and he didn't really like give good interviews.
Like one of the ones on like, I think it was on the Giants.
It was the ball.
Something like that.
Oh, them all?
They were just
No, it was Dable.
Brian Dable. So and also I
It
watched.
seemed like he didn't
This
care.
is crazy. I'm about to say this. Lord, please, I hope that this goes well for this man because I really don't want to see this happen. I don't know the truth, but Shannon Sharp's nightcap. Deion Sanders was on there some months ago, and he was talking about the teams that Shador wasn't gonna go to. Again, that is a bad look. I just think you could have handled things a lot differently. Even he went to the combine and pressed the anonymous source that was talking about Shador not being an NFL ready player. And I just feel like there's ways that you got to be able to handle certain things and conduct yourself if you want to get to certain positions. Everyone has to do it. It is not just a white and black thing. Everyone at some point and sometime has to conform to certain things that, gets them in positions of power or money and financial freedom.
Yeah.
So you are no different. Y'all are no different.
Like I can't just wear a tattoo outside all the time. Like I have a tattoo right here.
Mhm.
Like I'm not just gonna go out and wear that everywhere. But it's image. I feel has a little bit to do with it. No. I feel like the image just sort of rubs some people the wrong way. That makes sense.
I'd love to know how the interviews actually went because with those reports, I don't want to assume anything or say he was arrogant. I mean, there's reports of that though. I don't know how much truth there is behind them. I'd love to know how it actually went. But I don't know. I don't mind a little bit of trash talk. I don't know that it was necessarily the way I look at it. I don't know it was necessarily how he really how his demeanor was. More about what's around him and just everything from
It's
his
something
family
that's
to the
not-
talk.
It depends on if it's confidence or arrogance sort of thing. Being
confidence
I
versus
know I'm going to get drafted, or I think that I'm going to get drafted, and I hope that you draft me.
His dad might be
Not
a bigger
just
problem.
trying to undermine people from drafting him. I'm just I get him not wanting to go to a certain city if he doesn't like the football team, but at the same time realize the NFL teams kind of have more leverage than you because they can just determine not to draft you.
I agree.
And
with that.
his talent, I feel Ward, Dart, probably Milrow were better pieces that could have been taken off the board. Sanders just didn't. I don't know. When I watch Sanders briefly, I'll turn on a Colorado game, and it's I'm not wowed by him or anything. I guess that's most of this class, which is why you could be oh, he's kind of QB2. But the only real players I got that sense from was I'm Ward. I'm okay, this Ward can dice them up when he's not throwing really bad plays that will lead to interceptions. Dart, you don't know how much of that is due to the Ole Miss offense, and then with Milrow, it's you're okay, you kind of need to dial in the throwing and get that in check, but his running, his just natural athleticism, you don't really get any of that sense of Shador, and you're okay, he's kind of just he's just meh, if that makes sense.
Just to put into perspective how bad his QB class is, and if I had to take Cam Ward and put him last year, I'd put him as a younger, as a prospect, not necessarily a player, a younger Penix. This QB class is bad. Dart, I don't think
You put him at QB5, something like that. 4
4 or 5. It's a
That
bad
QB class
And
last year though.
It was. I don't like Dart very much, but I mean, I wouldn't. I think that was a disaster pick. Probably worse really draft because you had to trade for it. But yeah, I guess the Giants had to try somebody. They're a similar position to the Steelers where they need to try something. Steelers need to try something.
Speaking of the Giants, Eli Manning did the same thing when he said he didn't want to be drafted to the Chargers, and they traded for Phillip Rivers, and he went to the Giants.
That's living in Los Angeles. I would like living in Los Angeles.
Well, they were in San Diego.
Granted, I know that it's expensive, but I want to live on the beach.
Well, we have to.
San Diego then.
Yeah, you got to put context behind.
Oh,
it.
right, because they were in San Diego at the time.
At the time, and this is kind of what Deion wanted for Shador. The Chargers were not a historically great franchise at that point in time, and the Mannings. Okay, would you do what you will with that? But the Mannings, didn't want that, and they wanted their son to go somewhere where he could be developed and win potentially. And Phillip Rivers wanted to go to the Chargers. I think it worked out for him, even though he didn't win the Super Bowl. Eli got his 2 rings against the GOAT Tom Brady that you spoke of earlier, Connor. And it was on the strength of that defense. I think with the Giants, man, they had a crazy defense both times that they beat Brady in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I just think it's a way that you go about doing things. I don't think you watch the interviews and you just outright just say F you and I don't want to play for your organization. I think that you do it, you conduct yourself in a professional manner, because these owners in every sport talk. These teams talk.
Yeah.
So words is gonna get around. Hey, he did this in this interview. I don't really like the guy. He said X, Y, and Z, or he carried himself like he was so above us all. And then you never know. They may have aligned and said, let's teach this kid a lesson, since he thinks that he's above the program, and we're gonna make him wait.
That makes me think of the whole Nico situation at that point, like being like not above the program. That's like the exact sort of thing that I think that the coach said. He was like, he's not above the program. No, he isn't. That includes me. Who? The Tennessee head coach.
Well, when it comes to teams that are trying something, of course, every team is trying something. But we wanted to kind of get into a little bit of some of our teams that have been doing a little bit of magic, and I'll start off with the Washington Commanders. How was the draft for you?
I know for a fact that he would have taken Izzy Raku in the first round. I like Connerly. I'm okay with Connerly as a pick, but he's not the wow pick, you know? He's kind of like the pick that you would be like, okay, I can get behind this pick, but also I would rather take Izzy Raku.
Yeah, I give their draft B plus.
Yeah.
Connerly's a good pick. I mean, if Josh Simmons wasn't there, it'd be a great pick, but I just think Josh Simmons could have gone 4. I think he's that good. I think he's the best tackle in college football. I think if not for the injury, he would be a generational tackle prospect. And he was still there. I'm glad he went to the Chiefs.
So would your order of like those 3 players have gone like, would you have taken Simmons over Izzy Raku?
Oh yeah, Simmons was the best player.
So you would have gone Simmons as
Simmons was the best player available very early in the draft, and he stayed there until he got picked. Amos was an incredible pick. That's the best pick of the second round, in my opinion, besides Zaraku, which is Cowboys.
Yeah.
Crazy good pick.
Stinks that Zaraku is going to the Cowboys, though.
I know.
That's going to be
He's going to be with him next to Micah.
That's going to be a bad.
Well, I know. I'm sure you guys love Jalen Lane.
I texted your guy Ross about this, and I was like, what do you think about this? He said to me, he was like, can get behind him as like a wide receiver 4 punt returner kind of guy. And I was like, you know what? I like that take. I feel like eventually he can like develop a little bit more, but like I feel like that's kind of like a decent pick. And then, you know, like you got like 2 more guys here, Cayman Drano, linebacker from UCLA, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Barrett, Arizona running back. I feel like those are mostly just guys that we're gonna have to like wait and see.
The UCLA guy is very plug and play. He's a light linebacker, a fast linebacker, a bad tackling linebacker.
Yeah.
There'll be some sets for him. He's not an answer anywhere. He's not the post Bobby Wagner guy necessarily. They might make him a strong safety.
I feel like
Jeremy Chin kind of role,
like that can like soak up any issues.
I think he'd be relatively Jeremy Chin. He looked very, very much what Jeremy Chin was, which is fine to me. I was really upset when Jeremy Chin didn't re-sign. But the running back, I like the running back. I don't love Jalen Lane as a prospect. I think the problem with that pick, why I don't love it, is because it kind of like an admission already after 1 year that Luke McCaffrey was not a good pick. He was like, now you're looking for a different slot guy. I like him better as a slot guy.
I feel like McCaffrey's okay as like a returner.
But Jalen Lane's a better returner. So it's like
then like Lane can do that, and then Lane is just
Lane is just
better,
faster, just better. I think it's fine. I don't know. I really wanted someone who can stretch the field, and though he's fast, I don't know.
It's like a B pick. You kind of got to see more because like you don't know like okay how much of that was like restricted by the Hokies offense. I feel like that's going to be like something.
Yeah.
Because it was also dependent on quarterback play. Because like you had like I wouldn't really say a revolving quarterback door for the Hokies, but it was like kind of like it was almost like you didn't really like know what you were going to get week to week. Yeah, and I guess for Schlee, like it was a little bit more dependable, but like you don't know how much of that like really amassed like what Lane's like true production like with Jane Daniels. So like Jane Daniels is far better than anybody in the Hokies room. I will say that right now. I feel like he can.
Shit, Jay Daniels is better than everyone.
Jay Daniels is better
Yeah,
than any
yeah,
quarterback.
that's a
obvious.
You sound like it was a hot take,
Obviously,
honestly.
no, it's not a hot take. I'm just saying that's going to like enable Lane to be good,
Yeah,
but we don't know how good he's
He's,
actually going to be.
like
Like
the
this.
UCLA backer is kind of a replacement for Jeremy Chin's role. Lane is kind of a replacement for Zacchaeus' role.
Yeah,
That's where I kind of see him fitting in. And yeah, it's a fine fit. I'm not in love with
it's
the pick.
not right in as like the receiver,
Yeah.
depending on like where you see him, and then you can use him as like a returner.
What I really like is the running back.
Yeah,
Brad, is that how you say it?
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, the guy from Arizona.
Yapping. I forgot his name, but yeah, no, I watched
5'11",
him.
204.
He's a better running back than he is. He got he didn't play last season. The NCAA kind of screwed him. But no, I thought that was a good pick. They need running back help bad.
Well, Baltimore.
Yeah.
I would say,
Oh no.
and I've seen this. I've seen this around the grapevine. Baltimore, in my opinion, gets an A for this draft class. EDC, or as people may not know, Eric DeCosta, our general manager, may not have cooked during free agency, only picking up DeAndre Hopkins and I think someone else. I don't know who. But he does very, very well. Ever since 2019, he's done very, very well in draft classes. And so when I initially thought that we were going to pick up an edge rusher, I was immediately begging and praying that we got Ezraku first round.
That's where I was at.
You're saying that knowing that we're not going to talk about it. It was Cooper Rush.
I don't care about Cooper Rush. That's the
We're
whole
not gonna
point.
talk about that.
Why?
So-
Why you don't care about him?
Because
he thinks that
I
Cooper
don't
Rush
care
is
about Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush is aggressively mid.
Exactly.
He's like he's like a worse version of Dak.
Really?
But
Triple Crown shit? Yo, y'all are crazy.
I would say I really enjoy Malachi Starks as a good pickup at safety.
Yeah.
It replaces Marcus Williams at safety. Him and Kyle Hamilton back to back will be a dangerous combo for the secondary. Mike Green, I don't like a whole lot just because of the allegations.
Not an ethical pick, but a good one.
Not an ethical pick, but a good one. I would agree with that. But he is a dog in Marshall. And I saw how we played against us at the beginning of the year. My God, is he was a very good pick.
Thorn in our side.
I apologize, bro. I said Cooper. Oh my goodness. Cooper Cup.
Cooper
Cup.
Kupp.
That's what I was thinking of. I said
Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Oh,
I had to
my
think
God.
about that. I said Triple Crown. I'm sorry. I apologize.
There were a few other picks that I enjoyed. Emory Jones from LSU. He was an offensive tackle. We needed some offensive line help.
Pick 210.
Teddy Buchanan from California, good linebacker. We also picked up a kicker. And that is kind of an interesting thought because now you got to put into perspective Tyler Luke from Arizona got really famous for kicking 70-yard field goals
I think he got 75
on X. Yeah, 75, somewhere around there. But that also leads to the question of how long is Justin Tucker going to be in the Baltimore Ravens facility? He was already working with the Ravens this week, actually. So we don't know how long it's going to be until he actually perhaps retires or gets cut from Baltimore. So that's very interesting. We also picked up LeJontay Wester from Colorado.
Okay.
Really like him as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And then Aeneas Peebles, defensive tackle from Virginia Tech. I really enjoy that. I feel like he would be really good in the defensive scheme.
It's going to take time, but yeah.
It's going to take time, but I believe that the entirety of the NFL draft was very good for everybody. I think the worst team that probably could have done better, maybe the Cowboys.
I disagree. I think Cowboys got good. I think their first round,
Or at least the first round.
their first round picks
done better.
not one of their better picks, but after that, I mean, dude, they got Ezraku, by far the best pick in the second round. They got Siobhan Revel, another steal. Jay Blue, I think it's good for them. I don't know that he's not going to be your every down back, but it's a good pick.
You got a second back too. You got Phil Moffitt on there as well.
Yeah, I think it just has to end in with Revel and Ezra. Those are great picks. That they won post round one. Round one was just not a good pick. I just don't think you take a guard there. I don't think he's a very he's not as athletic as his RAS score maybe shows. He's powerful, but he's just not the needle moving guard you would take at 12. I think there are a lot of better options. He doesn't make them worse, but there are better options. I don't know that you need to address that in 12. I don't think your guard situation is that bad. You need to address it at 12. There were better options. I think they should have just gone wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think their biggest problem last year is that they had absolutely no offense outside of CD, and even he was
with Matthew Golden.
Yeah, I thought
Said he went to the Packers and produced one of the greatest reactions that I've seen on X. On the Riley Red Zone podcast, I got to see Robbie Ackley's live reaction, and he went ballistic. He loves that.
They're in a tough spot where they have so many fine receivers, but they just don't have the guy. Reed has a problem getting off press. Watson's hurt. Dobbs is not great. They need an outside guy, some speed.
They don't have like they just have like a bunch of guys that like blend together.
Not that Golden will definitely do that, but I think it's a good pick.
He has a chance to be that.
He shows it. Cowboys could use him a lot more, in my opinion.
Well, Kahlil, what did you think about your Chargers?
My Chargers did great. We had according to NFL.com, if you guys haven't looked at the post-draft grades, we have an A-. We addressed our offensive issues with more running. We got rid of J.K. Dobbins, obviously. We brought in Najee Harris.
Marion Hampton, too, in the draft. I like that pick.
That was a great pick from North Carolina. Obviously, Trey Harris from Mississippi. That helps with playmaking and getting down the field and stuff like that. And then we've added on to our D-line. I also thought that we needed that because we lost Joey Bosa. Well, we didn't lose him. We released him and we released Khalil Mack because of the cap space hit. It was going to be like 20-something million. We let Bosa walk ultimately to the Bills. It hurt me because he was the last of the San Diego Chargers group in 2016. And he was still with the team through LA for nine years. And, barring injuries, he could have possibly been a Hall of Famer, but he just can't stay on the field. So, Buffalo, they've tried to get all these guys who can't stay on the field and hope this season is the year that they break through. So we'll see what happens with that. Khalil Mack, we brought him back. Obviously, he's an all-pro player still this late in his career. He's contemplating retirement. So you add in these young guys with him, I think it just helps with getting to the quarterback and getting Kennard there. And it just, I don't know. I like where we're going right now. We're building through the draft, and we didn't go out and get Keenan Allen back. We brought in Mike Williams, take the onus off of Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. He had a great first, rookie season, over 1,000 yards catching. It was apparent how many non-weapons on offense that Justin Herbert had in that Texans game in the playoffs and those 4 interceptions. I'm like, y'all dropping balls going through your hand, guys getting interceptions. Like, it's crazy. So I'm happy for him, happy for the Chargers offense and defense, man. I think we'll be all right this upcoming season. Hopefully we win a playoff game.
I really feel like in general, won the draft or had some of the best.
Kansas City Chiefs.
I gotta say the Eagles are out there too. I like
Eagles too. I hate the Eagles. Everything just falls to their.
Jahad Campbell, Makuba. You were
I hate the Eagles.
You were in our chat being like, we should get Makuba or something like that. I saw something in there about Makuba.
I hate everything falls into the Eagles' hands,
including
Power Island. Everything just falls in their hands.
We got Fuga, by the way.
Oh, you guys got Fug. Yeah, no, I hate the Eagles. They won too, but I think the Chiefs really, really won. I mean, they're the other team that got Josh Simmons. They get, God, let me see. They got
more weapons.
They got Omar Norman Lott. I think is good guy to play.
Ashton Gelati.
They got Gelati. I really like Gelati. They got that receiver out of
Royals.
Yeah, I like that. But no, honestly, they could have screwed everything up and then just got Josh Simmons out of it. Great draft. No, yeah, them Eagles. I hate the Eagles so much. Makuba, I thought you guys should go on Makuba. I think Starks is great, but I think Makuba's safety one, and yeah, of course, falls to the Eagles, which is always happens.
Well, that is pretty much going to wrap up the Burg Bros podcast here, episode 2. Do y'all have any other final words before we let the audience go and do as they please?
Trae Young. That's it, man.
I have a concession to make. I think I may have been swayed in this hour plus. I don't know if I'm ready to outright say that LeBron is the GOAT yet, but the case has been made here.
Thank you.
The case has been made. I will hear you out.
If y'all want more,
I think I might be starting to side with you guys a little bit more.
if y'all want more high in depth analysis, man, check out my stuff on SI.com, bro. More stuff coming soon this summer about the Hawks content, and we got stuff for the BT as well. Love you guys. I'm about to be more active on social media, I promise y'all, with sports content.
If you're looking for Hokies baseball stuff, make sure to check out Dylan's stuff on Tech Sideline. If you're looking for Collegiate Times articles on softball and baseball throughout the end of the season,
It's that boy.
I've got you covered. And then, what about you?
Well,
Stuff at VTTV.
I don't have any. I don't have anything else. But I do want to say thank you to Dylan for hopping on
You
in.
guys have me on.
And it was fun, and I
It was
appreciate
fun.
you for hopping on in and talking about this. But thank you so much for tuning into the Burg Bros podcast. I'm Connor Arthur, Thomas Hughes, Kahlil McCooler, and Dylan Tefft here. And we're all saying so long. Have an amazing day. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other.
Peace.
Go Hawks.